Good day, and welcome to another episode of Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist. Another light in this darkened world. I am your host, Penny L.A. Shepherd, and I am Agent X11. My co-hosts are David Zublik, Heather Day, Joan Renee, Chris Montgomery, Skip Press, Tom Althouse, Jessica Garza, Edward Battalion, Dr. Keith Abloh, and TJ Ward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist, begins now. And welcome to another episode of Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist. My name is Penny L.A. Shepherd, and I am Agent X11. And today is an episode you do not want to miss about a person we discussed earlier on the Awake Nation.
Oh, really?
My co-host today is Katie Bradley, and Skip Press is also my co-host on Awake Nation News and Awake Nation, and featuring Skip Press is this episode of America's Golden Eon, or aptly known as AGE, from the Sage Aged. And we're going to be talking today about President Barack Obama.
Skip? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Baron of BS, the Raja of Ruination, the chicanery from Chicago. The son of whoever, So Barack Obama.
Nobody knows.
God, hold your nose and let's dive into this one, boy.
Okay, well,
so there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I lived through this, like most Americans, barely 8 years of this sucker, and I'm sorry, I said sucker. Oh well. And so this guy was a 44th president.
Another word, but we'll take the S.
Yeah. 44th president of the United States, with magnificent accomplishments like the Nobel Peace Prize before he ever did anything. So, we'll get into that. But in reviewing, despite having lived through this and followed closely Barack Obama, I learned things while reviewing this information that I never knew, actually,
Okay,
So
you are going to share those things with us right after I play your intro.
Okay.
Because these are things that everyone wanted to know, but we're afraid to ask. Skip Press has the answers. Here we go. Agent X11 is proud to present America's Golden Eon, AGE, with Skip Press.
American, I am an American. From sea to shining sea, America is the land of the free. From our early history, American golden eon AGE. If we deal falsely with our God in this work we have undertaken, we will cause him to withdraw, and our nation will be forsaken. Love that neighbor as thyself, for justice be ever thirsty. Walk in ever-present love, and always showing mercy. From sea to shining sea, America is the land of the free. From our early history, American golden eon AGE. America, American, I am an American. America, American, I am an American. American. America, American, I am an American. America, American, I am an American. America is the land of the free. From our early history, American golden eon AGE. America, American, I am an American. America, American, I am an American.
Agent X11's America's Golden Eon AGE with Skip Press begins now. And we are back with America's best storyteller in the universe, Skip Press.
Oh my. Okay, so let's speaking of storytellers,
Yes.
let's talk about one named Barack Obama.
Ugh.
My God. This guy has got more camouflage on his career than an army hiding in the Congo. Let's put it this way. I sound like John Kennedy from Louisiana. I should think of something even more hokey.
Right.
So he's 44th president, first Black American president, probably got, if there was 10% of Black Americans that didn't vote for Barack Obama for president, I would be surprised. I knew Black Republicans in Los Angeles who voted for him, because this is our guy, somebody that looks like me, and that's great, I guess. That's great. Too bad he wasn't much of a president, but he fooled a lot of people.
Yes, he did.
Now supposedly he was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. And he from the 5th grade to the 12th grade, he went to the very prestigious Punahou School in Honolulu. There were some times when he didn't live in Hawaii. He lived in Indonesia with his stepfather, Lolo Sotero, which we'll get into. But he eventually went to school in Los Angeles for a couple of years at Occidental College, which is over near Glendale. And then he went to Columbia University, got a Bachelor of Arts. And from there, after working as a community organizer in Chicago, he went to Harvard Law School. And I think when he was a sophomore, He became the first Black president of the Harvard Law Review, also very prestigious. Now, try to find something that he wrote in the Harvard Law Review. I don't think you can, which is very unusual. But then he became a civil rights attorney and and a teacher, a professor. He taught constitutional law at the University of Chicago Law School for many years. Actually, people, his things that he did before political, most people either have obscured or didn't know. But he taught at the law school from 1992 to 2004. So and he was then he got elected to the Illinois State Senate, and then in 2004 he ran for the U.S. Senate. That's a whole other story, some interesting stuff. And then 2008 he had battled out the primary against Hillary Clinton, gets nominated by the Democrats, and he says, Joe Biden, you're going to be my guy. And he and Joe Biden ran against John McCain and Sarah Palin and won. And so, boy, first thing he did when he was in the presidency, he gets the 2009 Nobel Peace Prize. And people go, what did he do? And they're like, well, we don't care. We like him.
Right. Why? Because we like him.
Yeah, I know. And then he came in when there was a financial crisis going on in the U.S. Well, what else is new? And comes up with a stimulus package, and which included tax cuts from the Bush era or proximity of that. And then he comes up with Obamacare, but he also, the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, most people forget that, which basically did away with the old Glass-Steagall regulations of banks and stuff that had come into play under FDR, right? And he while he's president, he appoints Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan to Supreme Court. Now, Elena Kagan had been the person who would welcome the new students in the Harvard Law School every year and tell them that they were going to be the masters of the universe. And she was deadly serious about that. And how do I know that? Because I know Ben Shapiro, who went to Harvard Law, and he detailed the speech that she always gives to me. And Sonia Sotomayor was the first Hispanic American on a Supreme Court. So, it looks good. And under Obama, the Iraq War winds down, and he had, which most people don't know, that he had led demonstrations against the Iraq War in Chicago when it started, big demonstrations. And so he kind of agreed with Donald Trump about the Iraq War never should have happened. And then he's if you remember watching him in the press room with Hillary, who was his Secretary of State, when Obama bin Laden gets taken up. We never saw Obama bin Laden's body. Supposedly he was tossed in the ocean. So who knows? Some people think Obama bin Laden was already dead. And then he, this Nobel Peace Prize winner sure was involved in a lot of wars, because Libya in 2011 was totally overturned, and Muammar Gaddafi was killed. Muammar Gaddafi, who had surrendered his nuclear weapons to make peace, and then, of course, they take him out. And Muammar Gaddafi, who was giving a guaranteed income to all members of his country, all citizens of his country, Muammar Gaddafi, who was going to end participating in the oil dollar and was going to put out his own currency backed by gold. Well, the globalists just couldn't have that, So, so Mr. Gold, Nobel Peace Prize maker of war, gets reelected. Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan. I was one of the people met Mitt Romney when he was running, talked to him alone for 30 minutes, thought he was going to win. Well, he didn't win. And so then soon as Obama gets in the second time, we have this conveniently Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, which Alex Jones has been sued over and supposed to pay him $1 billion, saying it didn't happen. So Obama tries to grab all the guns after that, and then he ramps up climate change, carbon emissions, and then he does the Affordable Care Act, and in his first term, and the Affordable Care Act has not worked at all, which Obamacare. It really supported the insurance companies, and the rates have gone way up, and it ends this year, I believe. So and he's got sanctions against Russia. He normalizes relations with Cuba, so Americans can go to Cuba and see what a wonderful place that is. And I had any number of knuckleheads I knew in Los Angeles that were just thrilled that they could go to Cuba. And then he becomes the first sitting U.S. president to publicly support same-sex marriage, right? So that's the rundown on basically his presidential career. But let's go back to the birth certificate, which has gone. This is an argument that's gone on, and it's probably still going on. Well, let me. I mentioned the Punahou School. I have a friend who went to Punahou School while Obama was going to Punahou School. And she was from a very influential bunch of people in Hawaii, and you had to go to Punahou School because it was very expensive school. And Obama's grandparents, his mother's parents, were rich banking family and stuff. So and then as we'll see in a second, on a video by Judge Joe Brown, Obama's stepfather was very wealthy. And so he went to Punahou School. So my friend told me that everyone knew in Punahou that Obama was not an American citizen. He was an American citizen, but he was not born in America. Right. She said everyone knew this. And the governor who presided over the birth certificate issuance when it was in the news and the big uproar over it, he also went to the Punahou School. Right. So let's you got a little video there about this birth certificate. Why don't you play that one and see what they have to say there?
Play that one first, because I also have Judge Joe Brown.
No, the Judge Joe Brown is later.
Okay.
There's
hour here.
It's good.
So here we go.
Chris Hegstrom. I am the Director of Media Relations for the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. I want to take a moment to welcome a couple people here. Obviously, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, Mike Zullo standing behind, and then sitting down is Bob Corbin, who is the former county attorney, former board of supervisor, former attorney general for the state of Arizona, and past president of the NRA. Thank you for being here, Bob.
And helping Joe.
And helping Joe, right? Today, Sheriff Arpaio and Mike Zullo are going to share information to you on a case that they've been working since August of 2011. Since the beginning of this investigation, you, the media, have continued to mischaracterize the nature of this investigation. So you're going to hear this more than once today, but this investigation was never about where President Obama was born. This is about a document that was presented to the general public through the White House and purported to be a factual document. Today you're going to hear lots of information that some of you are going to understand and are going to be able to tell the true story. In fact, please know that this is a very technical, but the evidence is clear if you'll pay attention. Please note you're going to hear about two separate experts. These experts are two separate continents with no knowledge of each other, and they draw similar conclusions. Again, that said, I know some of you are going to get this story and are going to tell the story the way it was. However, there's going to be others here today who will continue to malign this sheriff and Mike Zullo in order to show that you haven't been wrong for many years while covering this story. All I ask is that you are respectful during the presentation of the information. Here's Sheriff Joe Arpaio.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, thank you for showing up. Back in 2011, about 250 members of the surprise Tea Party came to me and asked me to investigate President Obama's birth certificate, since they believe evidence showed that the certificate was a fraud. I agreed to look into the matter, and with Chief Investigator Mike Zullo, we initiated an investigation. At this time, and to this day, I stated that I did not care where the president was born. Had nothing to do with that. But we were going to investigate a possible government forged document. Hope you get that straight. I've been saying that from day one since 2011. Today you will be presented with an in-depth executive summary of our investigation into the matter, which we now have concluded to be a fraudulently created document which has been represented as an official copy of the original birth certificate of President Obama. We and anyone else who dared to question the document have been maligned, falsely labeled, grossly criticized in the bulk of the media on certain internet sources for years. Today, we're going to set the record straight. I believe you will be shocked by what you hear and see today. Also, the implications will be profound. All we have ever wanted was the truth in this matter, with the great hope that the document was indeed a valid representation of the original document. Think of that. We were trying to clear the president. It didn't work out that way. We had to follow the evidence. We let the evidence determine the direction of the investigation. That's what we always do on any investigation. You get the evidence. This one was handled no differently than no matter what the investigation is about. So now, the important part is to present the pertinent details and the executive summary. Turn this over to Mike Zullo, who dedicated 5 years of his life. 5 years of his life taking this mission on, which I asked him to do 5 years ago. Mike, come on up and give your stuff.
Thank you, Sheriff. I want to start by trying to give everyone here, including the media that's been viciously against us from the beginning, an understanding of how I tried to conduct this investigation. I believe in 2012 we did 2 press conferences. In those press conferences, I had made it clear that Sheriff Arpaio's original mandate to me was, Mike, take a look at this, clear this document, because I want to be the guy that clears this document and moves this country forward. This is no good. That was the mandate. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. Like the sheriff just told you, when you conduct criminal investigations, you have to let the evidence lead you. You never lead the evidence. And in doing this, my motive was to clear the document. Because to be quite honest with you, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe this was possible. I didn't think this would ever happen in this nation. I didn't believe it. Back in 2012, I told you about Reed Hayes, a document examiner. Let me tell you about Reed Hayes, a man with 40 years, since 1974, 40 plus years of experience in examining forensic document, handwriting, a man who's well respected in his expertise, a court-recognized expert, a document examiner. He is the man you go to when somebody gives you a bad check with a bad signature. This is the guy you run to. Law firms use him all the time. He's been maligned. And let me tell you something about Mr. Hayes. When I contacted Mr. Hayes told me right off the bat, I'm an Obama supporter. I voted for him twice. He goes, and I will never do anything to hurt the President of the United States. What I had said to him was, Reed, I am not asking you to hurt the President of the United States. I'm asking you to take a look at this document and clear it and tell me there's nothing wrong with it. Would you at least do that? And he took a look at it. And when he called me back, he told me, Mike, I can't clear this. There's something wrong with it. And I asked him, I said, Reed, would you continue? I said, I know your position, but would you continue? And his answer to me was, this is what I do. I'll look at it. I'll do it. That's a man of integrity, respecting what his ability is to get to the truth. Because for Sheriff Arpaio and myself, this was never about Barack Obama. This is about a document. You take that document and you remove the name Barack Hussein Obama and put your name on there. If it was your document and it was brought to us, we would do the same thing with this document. This document was being investigated from the only way that I ever knew how to do it. You look to prove the guilty party innocent, the one you suspect. If you can prove him innocent, you don't put the wrong guy in jail. But when you try to prove him innocent and the evidence starts to stack up, now you change because the guilt is coming to the top. That's the way this was done. Jerry Corsi and WND. I grilled Jerry Corsi for 16 hours. This is no joke. I didn't believe anything he was showing me until he showed me one document. Everybody thinks it's the Obama document. When I had said that in the past, it wasn't. Jerry Corsi and WND, they were onto something. I'm not so sure they knew it was going to go the way it's going now, but they were onto something. And what we're going to show you today is information that you have never seen before. It was information that was developed by the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office in assistance with actually the gentleman who makes my videos, Mr. Mark Galar. Mark Galar has a unique ability when it comes to digital software and this whole video thing that he does. And Mark Galar and I were on a Skype call, felt like years. We would go back and forth for years. And at one point, I did alert Mr. Gillard to what I was suspecting, and we began to work at it together. What I'm going to do right now is I am going to let the video play in its entirety. Then I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to clear some things up. And then I'm going to let it play one more time, and I'm going to stop it periodically and address some things. I really want you to sit back and have an open mind, because what you're going to see is we utilized forensic document examiners Reed Hayes in Hawaii and a company named 4Lab in Italy. And I have two different disciplines. I have Reed Hayes, a document examiner, 4Labs forensic digital technicians. 4Labs trains law enforcement throughout Europe. 4Labs specialty is child pornography cases. 4Labs, everybody in that building is a PhD with math equations that, my God, I've never seen in my life. These guys know their stuff. And I'm going to tell you what I respect about both of them. Both Reed Hayes and Marco at 4Labs stayed true to their discipline. One of the tests you do when you have an expert, you want to make sure your expert isn't trying to run you for the money. If I can push the expert, that's not a guy I want. These men could not be pushed. This is their findings, this is how they see it, and this is how they're calling it. So I'm going to run this video for you, and I want you to understand this has nothing to do with anything we ever did before. It doesn't negate what we did before, and I'll explain that. It is new and it's profound, and it's quite disturbing. So let me play the video for you now, and then we'll move on.
You are looking at two long-form birth certificates from the state of Hawaii. According to the dates on the certificates, these births took place in Honolulu during the month of August in 1961, just 16 days apart. The birth certificate on the left belongs to Barack Obama. The birth certificate on the right belongs to Johanna Ani. After 5 years of intense investigation, which included consultation with one of America's most respected forensic document examiners and a team of European media forensic experts, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office has reached a conclusion utilizing forensic techniques both old and new. It is the opinion of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office that the birth certificate on your right belonging to Johanna Ani was in fact used as a source document in the digital creation of Barack Obama's long-form birth certificate. 9 points of forgery in which words, letters, and hand-placed date stamps have been digitally copied from the Ani long-form birth certificate and pasted onto Obama's long-form birth certificate. We'll look at the first 5 points of forgery together, since they were brought over from the Ani document in one group. Now let's drop out the Ani document as a background and view that again.
You know, that's about enough. The whole thing's an hour long.
Now let's look at the date
I just wanted to get to that part.
20 and 22.
Right. It's called Obama's birth certificate. You can look it up. It's a little over an hour long, and I just wanted to get to that part to explain how they did that and everything. Right. So it's pretty telling. You know, the point here with this whole thing is that Obama, these things happening, all this different stuff that happened This Obama kind of had the air with a lot of people of he was a kid who struggled, you know. He never was. He was a child of privilege from the beginning. Great wealth throughout his life, right? He, you know, and that was one of the ways that he fooled people the most. He, you know, we covered. He wasn't the first president who wasn't born in the United States. You know?
Yes.
I mean, I don't think Grover Cleveland from Canada. We covered that, but you know, so but just like Joe Arpaio says, it doesn't make any difference to him. The point was, they were obscuring the truth just so they could get this guy into the presidency, right?
When do you think
So-
that they did this? When did they decide they had to have an American birth certificate?
Well, because we had the internet, and people could check things out. You know, before Barack Obama, people weren't. I mean, you know, he kind of did with Bush, you know, a little bit Clinton, a little bit, you know, but nothing like it. It was really accelerated by the time Obama comes along, right? So briefly, so you know, Barack Obama, he wrote 2 memoirs. His first one was Dreams from My Father. Whenever Ann Durham, his mother, who was from Wichita, whenever she met Barack Obama Sr., they were both going to school in Hawaii, right? Now, in Dreams from My Father, which is supposedly about Barack Obama Sr., this guy from Kenya, he describes the mentorship of Frank Marshall in Hawaii, an African American who was a avowed communist and an activist. And a lot of people thought Frank Marshall was his real father. You know, I don't think it matters. Barack Obama Sr. was married when he met Ann. They ended up getting, you know, Barack's born in 1961. They get a divorce in 1964. And then Barack is going to kindergarten in Hawaii in 1967. She married an Indonesian student named Lolo Sotero, who was also going to University of Hawaii. And after after she did marry him, then she moved Barack and the family and Lolo to Jakarta, Indonesia. And this is where the video comes in, where you have Judge Joe Brown explaining the true family history of Barack Obama. This is really worth listening to.
Number 44 and the one before that, 43, Bush and Obama. Well, there are pictures of Bush with his arm around 8-year-old Barack Obama because his stepdaddy, adopted daddy, Lolo Sotero, had done a lifetime worth of business with the Bushes.
Wow.
Uncle George Herbert Walker, after whom George Herbert Walker Bush one president, was named, founded Halliburton in 1946 in Oklahoma. And Lolo Sotero had been international executive vice president for Standard Oil.
There was talk of him being a CIA asset.
Well, yeah, see, he ran the death squads for the Indonesian army. On his own call, anyone could be assassinated. So when George Herbert Walker Bush became head of the CIA under the Ford administration, he just got with his old buddy in the oil business, Lolo Sotero, and pulled off the hits. See, Barack's grandmother has been acknowledged as being the woman that operated the channels through which CIA money went to the Southwest Pacific. So she introduced her daughter, who had just had Barack, to Lolo Sotero, and they got married, and Lolo Sotero adopted Barack Obama. The name was changed to Barry Sotero. Now, when he went to high school in Hawaii, I know about that high school. I almost sent my oldest son to it. I could afford it, but I didn't think he deserved it. 20 years ago, the tuition was $95,000 a year, not including room and board. When Obama went there, I've talked to two of his classmates. They independently state that the tuition, not including room and board, was $45,000. Now, Business Insider reports his income for 2017 at over $200 million net. That's after taxes, deductions, write-offs. For this last year, 2018, they reported it as $570+ million. And that's after all deductions, tax, right? Trump doesn't make that net. I mean, even some of the richest people in America don't make that. Why? Because when his stepdaddy died, he was one of the 10, 15 richest men on earth. And he left everything in a trust fund operated out of Indonesia, so the American government can't touch it. That makes Barack Obama 1/3 beneficiary for the assets of one of the 10, 15 richest men on earth. See, so we got a game run on us. So, you know that little thing that Bush W does when he gets with Michelle, they giggle and he gives her candy. The inside thing, is that supposed to be the same kind of candy he used to give to her husband when he was 6, 7, 8 years old?
It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Now here's some funny thing about genealogy. Barack Obama is related to Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy of the United States.
Huh.
He's also distantly related to George Bush and Dick Cheney. You know,
Wow.
how do you like that? How do you like that for a club?
That's
right?
the axis of evil for sure.
It is. So this is a guy who has always been very wealthy. What was presented to the public was this idea that he was a guy who came up based on ideas, fighting for the people, a community organizer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Nothing could be further from the truth. And he was influenced by Frank Marshall, the avowed communist America hater, mentioned in the book, his own book. He admits it, right? And he was also influenced by a local Chicagoan, and when he first ran for office, the announcement, sort of kickoff meeting for the thing, was with his neighbor Louis Farrakhan.
Oh.
You know, does that name strike a chord with anybody? That's right. So Louis Farrakhan. Now they covered that up for a long time, and finally a picture came out that had him with Louis Farrakhan. He tried to deny that, and then he went to the, I think it's the Trinity United Church in Chicago, which was presided over by Jeremiah Wright, the man who became famous for saying, "No, America, goddamn America, goddamn America," right?
Oh, nice.
And Jeremiah Wright married the Obamas, right? And so, so in 2008, when Obama is running for, Obama is a member of the church, and in 2008 he's running for president. Then he leaves the membership of the church behind, you know. And I won't even get into like the guy that was an acolyte of Jeremiah Wright, who was gay, some relationship with Barack Obama, you know, who knows, maybe who died under mysterious circumstances, right? All that sort of stuff, right? Now, when Obama was coming up, running for the Illinois State Senate, he lost a House of Representatives race, but he gets in the Illinois State Senate, and he has a political advisor named Bill Ayers. Now, Bill Ayers and his wife, who were those people? They were weathermen. They tried to blow up things during the 60s, right? Bill Ayers should have been in prison. Well, the first time Barack Obama runs for Illinois State Senate, he has a fundraiser and a kickoff for the campaign in 1995 with Bill Ayers' house and Bernadine Dorn, Bill Ayers' wife, at their house, right? So, now Bill Ayers was, Bill Ayers wasn't, I don't know if he's a communist, but he was certainly completely anti-American, right? And these are all the kind of people that are gathered in Chicago. So you wonder why Barack Obama ended up in Chicago, because it's been a cesspool of trying to take over America with communist and crazy anti-American stuff forever. It's still going on, right?
Yeah,
So
I call it ill and annoyed.
Yeah, the Obama, he gets in Illinois Senate, and then he runs as a U.S. senator, and at that time, believe it or not, Illinois had a Republican governor.
Oh,
right? And there was also a very strong Republican candidate for U.S. Senate named Jack Ryan, and Jack was going. A lot of people thought he was going to get it, but then Jack's career gets completely upended when his actress wife Jerry Ryan gets a divorce and said that Jack had an affair or something like that, right? So Barack wins, and he becomes senator from he'd been an Illinois senator, so now he becomes the senator from the state in the U.S. Senate, right? So now, how did he get to be so popular among national Democrats, and contend with Hillary Clinton for the presidency and nomination Democratic Party? Well, go find something that notable that Barack Obama did while U.S. senator. I don't think you'll find anything, right? But he gave a speech that made him famous, right? Whenever they had the Democrat National Convention in 2004 in Boston, Massachusetts, Barack Obama was selected to give the keynote address, right? And he met everybody. He was people thought he was a natural. This is probably where Joe Biden formed the opinion that he was a well-spoken, clean-looking black man. So, his famous quote. And so Democrats were really impressed by this speech that he gave in 2004. This is not unusual in American politics. Whenever the party has a convention and somebody gives a real notable speech, then then they go, wow, this guy is coming up, right? So now we get to the 2008 convention. I can go into a bunch of other things, but I don't think they really matter that much. Barack Obama was working for Sidley Austin in Chicago, big law firm, in 1989. That's where he met Michelle. Michelle was also working there, and Michelle was his advisor as a lawyer. She was already at the firm, right? Now, I'd like to go back. You could never do it, but I'd like to go back and see if there was a Michael Robinson working for Sidley Austin, at that time. And the funny thing is, in 1988, I was working for Sidley in Austin, but in Los Angeles, not in Chicago, right? So anyway, let's let's keep the ball rolling here. So he's got Frank Marshall, this communist. He's got Lolo Soetoro's stepfather, rich guy, connected with Bush and Cheney and Halliburton, CIA, all that sort of stuff. Barack Obama, and then he's got Goddamn America, Jeremiah Wright. Barack Obama was, he was pretty much groomed all along to become president of the United States, right? But then something came up that was kind of a hindrance. It's like, I don't know, will he get past this one? And that was when a guy named Larry Sinclair came upon the scene and hit the national news. And you've got a video on that one.
I do. I almost got Larry Sinclair on Awake Nation, but then he decided to go on a little lesser known podcast with Tucker Carlson.
Oh, okay.
My name is Larry Sinclair. In regards to the Obama incident, on November 6, 1999, I asked the limo driver if he knew anyone who would like to socialize and show me Chicago. He used his cell phone to make a call. That call was made to then Illinois State Senator Barack Obama to set up an introduction between myself and Senator Obama. Senator Obama asked me if I was referring to coke, and I stated I was. Senator Obama arranged the cocaine purchase. Senator Obama and I then departed the bar in my limousine and proceeded to an unknown location. Returned a short while later with an 8-ball of cocaine, which he gave to me. Shortly thereafter, Senator Obama produced a glass cylinder pipe and packet of crack cocaine from his pocket. Obama then smoked the crack cocaine. I performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine during the time Senator Obama was smoking crack cocaine. The following day, November 7th, 1999. Senator Obama appeared at my hotel room where we again ingested cocaine and I again performed fellatio on Senator Obama.
Short and sweet. Yeah. Like we're liaison. Oh my God. He kicked himself out. That was short and sweet. Well, he will be returning to the stage for sure. While he's coming back in, yes, I did contact Larry Sinclair. And I was under the impression at the time that Larry Sinclair had died because they had planted in the media that Larry Sinclair had been like hit by a truck or, run over by a truck or something like that.
I thought he did die.
So I believed that. And then someone told me that he was still alive. And I was like, really? And so, because somebody posted saying they were Larry Sinclair, and I'm like, yeah, ha ha, Larry died in a hit and run, right? And he's like, no, I didn't die. And I was like, who is it? So then I go to his DM. That's how I find out who he is. I found out that he ran for mayor for, it's like a Cocoa, Florida. It's not Cocoa Beach. He ran for mayor, that he has
Coconut Creek,
debilitating diseases. And so at that time I was asking him to come on Awake Nation, and then I swear I think Tucker watches our show, but Tucker nabbed him, and the rest is history. You're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. Who knows what happened? So oh my God. Let's while since we do have the little thing, why don't you just quickly play the little clip of what
Senator
Joe Biden said.
Senator, I have no brains, dementia Joe. Here we go.
That's him. Yeah.
Got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
That's a storybook, man.
That's a storybook, baby. Yeah. So
all the
like you said about the little kids and his hairy legs. he's always been weird.
Yeah. So, basically nothing could derail this guy on the way to the election. It's like the media was behind him. These days you'd think the LGBTQ, whatever, they're so strong. They're not so strong. They're still a tiny segment of the population. But Barack Obama got them all behind him in Chicago. Gee, wonder why. Maybe it had something to do with the bathhouses in Chicago he used to go to. Maybe it had
blackmail.
Yeah, right. Maybe it had something to do with the relationship he might have had with somebody under Jeremiah Wright's thing. Maybe it had something to do with the activities that he did as described by Larry Sinclair. But this is a very rich kid, very wealthy person who was running all along, who just lands and suddenly he's the president of the Harvard Law Review. Well, maybe a donation got made to Harvard that made him the first black president of the Harvard Law Review. Who knows? It was just on and on and on. So he he runs for president, and he gets the nomination, beating Hillary Clinton. And now, in case I disappear off the, my internet goes gaboom. Let me tell you this really quickly. I had a friend who was a Hillary girl from Los Angeles, a very rich person herself, who's kind of a film producer, and she and two of her female friends who were Hillary girls were making a documentary about Hillary, and they thought for sure Hillary's going to be president, right? They thought Hillary was going to get the nomination. So they're making a documentary, and then suddenly Hillary cuts it off. And she was like, why? And so the word that she got, now this is hearsay, but I don't see why she'd lie to me. This is what made her become a Republican, this friend of mine. She said that they were told that Barack and Michelle told Bill and Hillary that if they didn't let Barack have the nomination, they would kill Chelsea Clinton.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he certainly learned from his daddy-o.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, he's got this stepfather who's running a hit squad. So, hey, what works, right? So this is Mr. Nobel Peace Prize, and so Hillary got her little reward. She got to be Secretary of State, right? And then she thought,
wasn't enough.
Yeah, right. Yeah. She thought, well, I'll be, after this, I'll be, I'll be president next time, right? After Barack wins twice. Okay. So anyway, so he wins. 2008, he beat John McCain. I met John McCain, extremely unimpressive, air of evil guy, and he's like, fight with me, and I like that was his whole pitch. That was his whole pitch, and John McCain was as dirty as they come, and I like Sarah Palin. I remember with my friends when we were hoping McCain could win. I met McCain before. I didn't meet him during the presidential run. I met him at Disney Studios of all places.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
What was he doing there?
Well, this was before the guy running Disney now. The guy running Disney at the time, I forget his name, was a closet Republican. Okay. This was back when Disney still made good movies, right? And so there was
president now.
No, it was after Eisner, and Eisner bailed out at Disney. He didn't.
Yeah, he failed, but didn't he come back?
No, wait. Eisner is now, right? Yeah.
Right.
No, it was before it was after the other guy that started CAA. And he bailed out and didn't do so good. It was whoever was running it. But anyway, there was a gathering of Republican politicians at a Disney meeting. Fred Thompson was there. bunch of other people. I think they were talking about, Republicans in Hollywood and stuff and potential.
David Greenbaum?
Do what?
David Greenbaum is now?
Yeah, it's not Eisner. Eisner bailed. He did bail, but I thought they brought him back again.
But they did, but this has nothing to do with Eisner. So anyway,
Sean Bailey.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
So anyway, he runs against McCain. McCain there are lots of veterans that hated McCain because of what he did during the war. John McCain was a child of privilege, an admiral's son, betrayed other people in prison. That's a long story. Cindy McCain. Anyway, so he beats John.
We'll have to do some things on some political people also when we're done with the presidents.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So anyway, so he wins the presidencies, right? And so every time we do one of these, I look up their accomplishments. Somebody's always written like 10 or 15 accomplishments. So here's Barack Obama's accomplishments. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, sounded good, total horrible stuff about to finally American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. Supposedly he did that. Dodd-Frank, we've already talked about, killed Osama bin Laden. And then he, same-sex marriage. Yay! And then the Paris Climate Agreement, which was the first thing that Donald Trump got rid of when he got elected, because that was totally bozo. And then he restored diplomatic relations with Cuba. Oh, yay! Right? And then here's the next one: auto industry rescue. Well, what did he do during the auto industry rescue? He killed car companies that needed to bail out. He killed them if he didn't like them. And now, how do I know that? Because at that time I drove a Saturn and I loved Saturns. Saturns were made in Tennessee, where it was right to work, and they were not made by unions. So Obama killed Saturn, right?
Oh wow.
Yeah. So then he pushes renewable energy, wind power, all that solar and all that stuff. Well, how's that worked out? Not so great. Now, this is a list of his accomplishments. And then the 10th one on this page I'm referred to is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, which this is in 2012. It provided temporary protection from deportation for undocumented immigrants brought to the United States as children, often referred to as dreamers. So that let the dreamers get work process permits, access educations, etc. So these are the accomplishments of Barack Obama, which I don't think are very much in the way of accomplishments at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the guy that's going to restore racial relations in America, right? Make them better. Well, I remember those days, and there wasn't a lot of racial problems. I'd lived through the whole Rodney King thing in Los Angeles, and can't we just get along and all that sort of stuff. And the LAPD were a bunch of jerks who would just beat the hell out of anybody. Well, then the federal government came in and sort of kicked their butt quite a while. And I remember in Los Angeles, people were getting along just fine. There wasn't a lot of racial stuff going on at all, really. But then a professor at Harvard whose nickname was Skip.
Oh, was it you?
No, it wasn't me. Who knew Barack Obama, July 16, 2009, Henry Louis Skip Gates Jr.
Skip Gates.
Wait a minute. Let me get rid of this stupid thing.
Somebody does not want you to tell this story.
Yeah, no kidding, man. It's ridiculous. And so Gates is late at night. He's trying to get into his house, and somebody calls 911, and these two cops show up. And this is in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where Harvard is. And they say, you know, we're just trying to check this out. We got a call. And so he raises hell, and this becomes national. Like, oh man, this Black American at Harvard and everything. He owns his house, and they're oppression. Well, you know, oppression in Harvard. Yeah, sure. So this blows up into this whole big racial thing, and it's all over the news. And suddenly, Americans are fighting with each other, you know, over this stuff. And Barack Obama has to step in and settle it, right? And he says, this happened, let's see, it happened on July 16th. So July 22nd, less than a week later, Barack has got to take this national. He says, I should say at the outset that Skip Gates is a friend. So I may be a little biased here. I don't know of the facts. All the facts. What's been reported, though, is that the guy forgot his keys, jimmied his way to get into the house. There was a report called into the police station that there might be a burglary taking place. So far, so good. All right. I mean, if I was trying to jigger into, well, I guess this is my house now, so it probably wouldn't happen. I guess he's talking about the White House. But let's say my own house in Chicago. Here I'd get shot. Speaking further, I don't know. Anyway, he finally says that the police acted badly. And this caused a big hubbub all over the United States when this happened. And God, this thing, having trouble with my computer. Something weird's going on. And so suddenly, I'm telling you, man. And so suddenly,
why?
It's normal.
Jesus Christ, man. So suddenly this was a big deal, and suddenly, the guy who was going to normalize the first Black president and everything, the Nobel Peace Prize, all this sort of stuff. Suddenly it was like black versus white. Well, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that's the way they wanted it, right?
Yes.
And then he's, you know, who knows? Then comes the White House basketball court. Now,
did he build the basketball court?
Yeah. So,
okay.
All right. So Trump's taking out the thing, going to put in a ballroom, right? Which many people say, right?
Oh, he's taking out the basketball court.
No, but yeah, but that was his detractors said that he was taking out he didn't. He basically just expanded the basketball court, but it was like this stereotype. Well, there was a black man making him a basketball court at the White House, you know, and so this became a big deal, right? And it was like, good God, you know, it just never ends, you know, this sort of stuff, and it all got stirred up under Barack Obama, and so what he does, the stunt he pulls with Henry Louis Skip Gates, is he has Skip Gates show up at the White House along with the Cambridge, Massachusetts cops, and they all sit outside, I think, on the basketball court, if I'm remembering this correctly, and they have a beer. And so it's the beer summit. So Barack Obama, man of the people, is having a beer summit. You know, now maybe that's where Pocahontas got her idea of, like, I'm going to have myself a beer, you know. She's from Massachusetts, you know. So anyway, so it just threw America off, and you've got and then you've got this now. You've got a video about the basketball court. Let's play the basketball court and cover that.
Oh God. Oh Lord.
Watch this, Mr. Basketball. 1, 2, missed. Can't hit a free throw.
Oh
He
Lord.
finally hit one. Yay. He's a hero, So, missed layup.
No, he will.
Oh, he hit a layup.
Finally.
Yeah. Man of the people. There he is. Yeah.
I have not spoken to him about that, but the president doesn't get to practice probably as much as he'd like to. Having done a few shoot-arounds with him, he's a pretty good shot.
Right. Yeah. Pretty good shot. I can't wait for the next video.
Oh my God. Yeah, really. That one's going to be good. So, I'm glad we can laugh about this bozo, So then along comes, 2012 along comes Mitt Romney, the great white Mormon hope. And I actually thought Mitt was going to beat him because Mitt had saved the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City and made a huge success of it. And Mitt had been a governor of Massachusetts and had a pretty good record. People thought good things about Mitt Romney. I met him. I thought he was pretty good. He came to Burbank, California while he was running, and I got there early, and it was just me and Mitt talking for 30 minutes. And I thought, well, Mitt can beat him. But of course, Mitt did not beat him. So Barack and Joe run, and they get 51% of the vote, and Mitt gets 47. Right? So Mitt and Paul Ryan. So Mitt came close. Now was anything funky done during that time? I don't know, but in some state legislatures had changed voter registration and electoral rules. So there was some stuff going on, but so he wins. And so now he's gonna be ruling the roost for another 4 years. And I had friends in Hollywood during this time. We had our little our organization. Friends of Abe, started with Gary Sinise, which I'm not supposed to talk about even after all these years, but I don't give a damn. And so friends of mine were just totally despondent. People got behind McCain, who I thought didn't have a chance. And I remember when he got elected, and Obama, I don't know if you remember this, they have this big celebration in Chicago where Oprah is there, and they've got these Greek columns. This whole thing is weird. And she was on stage going, "He's the one," like this. So,
God.
these were just strange times. They were just strange times. Well, so when they get in for the second time, suddenly Michelle is like the most beautiful first lady ever, according to some people. Put her on the cover of Vogue, man. She's just hot, and so she's like a celebrity, even though she's like, well, I've never felt at home in America. I've always felt discriminated against, et cetera, et cetera. Keep in mind that these were very rich people. Barack Obama is a very wealthy man. Michelle, whatever you think of that, marries a very wealthy man, very privileged people. And if the story I told about the Democrat convention, the first one beat Hillary, very nasty people. But so Michelle becomes so famous that she gets to go on the Ellen show and talk to Ellen and dance.
Ooh.
Everybody dance now.
Yeah. So play that.
Balls, I've got big balls, and they're such big balls, and they're fancy big balls, and he's got big balls, and she's got big balls, but we've got the biggest balls of them all.
Yeah, when you see that up close, you can see them.
I know, it's like, is that a mouse in your pocket? Or are you happy to see me? So, but then just go straight to the next one about how America was so disappointing to Michelle Obama.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America, and I want to prepare you for this. You're about to feel really sorry for former First Lady Michelle Obama. She had it so rough. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. You know the tens of millions of white people who voted to put former President Obama in the White House? Well, apparently, even with that, Michelle Obama felt the weight of her race being used against her on her shoulders. See, according to her, they were always scared, her and her husband and her family, because they knew they couldn't make any mistakes. Because the American people would not give them the grace they would give to a white family. Right? I mean, they just elected a black man in his family, but no, still very racial. Goodness, this woman is a professional victim. All she has done since she left the White House is complain about how rough everything was for her. It's amazing that somebody could be given so much and still be bitter. Multi-millionaire, many times over. Tens of millions of dollars their family's worth now. Power, money, fame, still a victim. Still a victim of race. Of those dastardly Americans who couldn't see past her race, even though they put her and her family in the White House. Apparently, they must have not noticed the race for that whole year of campaigning. Professional victim. I want you to listen to this and let me know what you think in the comments.
And it is the most true in fashion.
Mrs. Obama also writes about the pressure she felt being the first black first family.
You said we were all too aware that as a first black couple, we couldn't afford any missteps.
Yeah.
And you also say, as a black woman, I was under a particularly white, hot glare. Did you feel that?
For sure. You can't afford to get anything wrong because you didn't get at least until the country came to know us, we didn't get the grace that I think some other families have gotten. Now, don't get me wrong, every First Lady faces the kind of scrutiny. Every woman in the public eye faces a certain level of scrutiny because of her physical appearance. I mean, we live in a culture, sadly, where, if somebody wants to go after a woman, the first thing they do is go after our looks, our size, our physical being as a way to, make us feel small, to keep us in place. In the back of my mind were all the mothers and the grandmothers who I wanted to make proud, not to mention that the First Lady, at least as I approached it, is a job. It's an important job. It's a job I enjoyed. It was a job about representing the country and making the country proud. And how I showed up every day was a part of me expressing my seriousness and respect for the job. So I didn't want to show up just any kind of way. I wanted to show up with thought and consideration and energy and light.
She failed. The book chronicles her most iconic fashion moments, like her rose gold dress at their final state dinner, her plum power suit from President Biden's inauguration, And those viral glitter boots from her Becoming book tour.
The boots that broke the internet?
The boots.
The boots that broke the boots.
The boots are on fire. Yeah, right.
Come on now.
That's also a part of me. That was a version of me.
Version of her drag queen me.
Yeah, no kidding, man. God. Well, okay, so now let me preface, and we'll go right to the next video as time ticks down. The scandal-free Obamas, right? The scandal-free Obamas. Play the next video about the scandal-free Obamas.
It's fascinating. Are all of the scandals completely ignored by the left during Obama's reign of terror on this country? In particular,
the scandal-free administration of Barack Obama.
That's
Is that
exactly the one
you're
I'm talking
referring
about.
To?
Yes, that is the very one.
You have some made-up list of some things that happened?
No, I have an actual list of some actual things that occurred in Obama's EPA. For instance, in 2012, EPA was charged with lethal experiments on hundreds of unsuspecting subjects. That was according to Forbes magazine.
They dropped acid on
The
us or
EPA
something.
illegally used social media to push for new EPA regulations. A subpoena was issued after McCarthy deleted nearly 6,000 text messages. Articles of impeachment were introduced against EPA head McCarthy after she was caught repeatedly lying to Congress. The EPA Inspector General said McCarthy was lying when she said Michigan deserved blame for the Flint crisis. After the Colorado mine disaster, the EPA covered up incriminating evidence to shield its agents from prosecution. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I had forgotten about a lot of these.
Yeah.
The EPA knew risk of a blowout before the Colorado mine disaster and then later covered up the evidence. The EPA allowed a known convicted child molester to remain on the payroll for years, putting him in a position to interact with the public. I'd forgotten about that.
Right.
McCarthy was accused of permitting a workplace hostile to women, including letting workers download porn, even child porn.
Oh, nice.
Gina McCarthy spent $630,000 on international travel from 2013 to 2016. Well, nobody talked about her spending.
Nope.
Ever.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
not a peep.
I mean, while it's possible that Scott Pruitt was doing some things that were violating some issues, but not like
questionable. Obama's EPA hid experimental data debunking the 2015 ozone rule. Obama EPA employees earned overtime without justification. The EPA warned Alaskans to stop burning wood to keep warm. While conducting water tests in Alaska, EPA agents treated locals like enemy combatants, even pointing a shotgun at a septuagenarian. That's somebody over the age of 70. I just translated that for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
After committing one of the worst environmental atrocities in Colorado history with the Gold King mine disaster, the EPA still insisted it should have control over the nearby Animas River. And wasn't that the river that turned?
Yeah. They had to turn orange or red or something. It was some weird, strange, high color. It was.
I mean, because there's 43 of them. It's only 4.5 minute things long, but I want to get a couple more things in. I had a friend named Andrew Breitbart who made a name for himself. And Andrew had a heart attack and died outside a restaurant in Brentwood, California. Gee, how did that happen? Well, funny, it's too bad because the next week he'd announced that the next week, next Monday, I think it was, he was going to had a blockbuster bit of news about the Obamas that he was going to come out with. He never got to deliver that news, right? So maybe one day we'll find out. Right now in the news, there's a guy named Owen Gregorian on X wrote a long post that says Chicagoans fume at the Obamalisk on historic land, which is all about that unbelievably ugly presidential library
Library
that he's he's building, which people should go read this thing that Obama about the whole library and how they destroyed a bunch of parkland, 20 acres and stuff to build this thing in Jackson Park, including the Jackson Park Women's Garden, which was tied to a groundbreaking 1893 pavilion designed by architect Sophia Hayden. And that was paved over to put up the Obama thing. But we have one more video of Miss Tulsi Gabbard talking about some activities of Barack Obama. And we should play that one.
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these. We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even
The evidence,
Obama?
correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment.
So that is the whole thing about the Richard Steele document, the whole thing trying to take Trump out, and so that's going to be Obama's legacy. This was a rich kid all through his life who was privileged, who was groomed by global concerns and anti-American concerns, elitist, if you want to call them that, to put him in the presidency and to capture and control the public, to boost the healthcare system and do a complete takeover of it, as Hillary Clinton had tried to do under Bill Clinton, but failed. And it has only made things worse for the healthcare system. It's made insurance companies rich. This guy was a walking disaster from the start. And now nobody listens to him much anymore. And I hope that this will be the first former American president to be put in prison, which is where he deserves to be for many reasons. And there's so many things, so many other things that we could discuss. I hope one of these days it comes out who killed Andrew Breitbart, and it wasn't a heart attack. It was engineered, as far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned, it was a CIA microwave gun, and that this is while Barack Obama was president. So, judge as you will. I don't care where he's born. All I care about is what he did as president and what he's continued to try to do post-presidency. And I think his time is up. And it's the no racial overtones intended. It's the blackest mark on the American presidency that was ever made. And history will prove that to be true. You're muted, Penny. I can't hear you.
Thank you for this expose. This was wonderful. We did not mention One Dead Chef. That should be a book.
Yeah. Well, that dead chef was writing a book. And the word is that he was also a lover of Barack Obama who got tired of being a lover of Barack Obama.
Sounds familiar. Sounds like a familiar.
The hits keep on coming.
They do.
He was on an honor flight yesterday, surprising the veterans.
Oh, great.
Yeah, surprise. We don't want you here. Skip Press, where can people find you?
I'm Skip Press on X and skippress.com. And I will be on Pennyland the rest of the day. So
that is true. And Katie Bradley, where can people find you? Thank you for joining me today, Katie Bradley and Pennyland.
Yeah, great.
Thank you for inviting me. On X, I'm KBT143, and I'm also on Awake Nation on Wednesday morning and Friday morning.
Excellent. And don't forget to watch the Awake Nation News and the Awake Nation Monday through Friday. We are on the David Zubik channel from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., and that is Eastern Time. Unfortunately, we are out of time. You can find me on X at Shepherd Out. If you'd like to be on Agent X11 or on the Awake Nation or on the Awake Nation News, or if you'd like to be a co-host, we're looking for other co-hosts as well to help out the overburdened co-hosts that we have right now. Please text my phone at 619-779-9771. And coming up next, we're going to have another show with Dominic Halpin, and he is a documentary filmmaker and actually a psychotronic targeted individual. And we're going to be talking about MK Ultra and his documentary film. Unfortunately, we are out of time, so we are out of here. Shepherd out.
Bradley out.
Skip out.
Goodbye for today from Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist. We post new episodes daily. Check out our true crime episodes Wednesdays and Fridays. Don't forget to watch our main show, David Zubik's Awake Nation, on the David Zubik channel on Rumble, live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah.